Hi everyone. Today we're here interviewing a very, very interesting person, David Levy. He's a very, very prominent economist here in Bulgaria. He has a lot to do with foreign investments in Bulgaria and a lot of other stuff. So welcome to Bulgaria Online TV.
Thank you.
Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do?
At the present moment, one of the many things I do has to do with financial consultations and accounting. But this is only one plane of what I'm doing. I'm doing actually much more interesting stuff. One of them is the three organizations that I have established here in Bulgaria. One of them is called Gratitude. It has presented the candidacy of Bulgarian Church for Nobel Peace Prize for their role in the salvation of Bulgarian Jews during the Holocaust, during the Second World War. The other organization is European Arab Chamber of Commerce, which is like any other chamber of commerce, is dealing with deepening the trade relations between European countries and Arab countries from the Persian Gulf, such as Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, and Oman, Bahrain, and others. And the third organization, probably the oldest one, I should have started with it, is the Israeli Center for Science and Culture in Bulgaria. I have lived in Israel for 13 years. I speak the language quite well, almost as like the Bulgarian, like my mother tongue language. And I have created businesses in Israel. I have studied there in Tel Aviv University. And most of my working career has been connected with the link between Bulgaria and Israel. I have welcomed a lot of Israeli investors here and helped them establish their businesses, purchase their properties, and all the other administrative stuff that is quite rich and quite a lot in Bulgaria, as you and your viewers know. So I have decided to create this Israeli Center for Science and Culture in order to promote Israeli culture in Bulgaria. Israeli culture is a little bit different than Jewish culture. It's almost the same, but not exactly, because in Israel there are other nationalities that live and have full rights, of course. Druze, Arab, Bedouin communities, and they, together with the Jewish majority, have started to create a new amalgama of culture, which is different than the Jewish culture. It's the Israeli culture. So this is the new trend and the new way that I'm trying to promote in Bulgaria as well, with the idea at the next stage to start to promote it in all over the world. Israel is one of the countries that doesn't have cultural centers around the world, as many other nations do. So this should be done, to my opinion, with the private initiative. So these are the main three fields that I'm working, apart from other things, interesting projects that I'm doing. Have been invited many times in different media channels to comment on processes in the Middle East and worldwide. Maybe because of this new political ideology that I have been working on for the last 20 years. It is called intellicracy. It's quite complicated to be pronounced in English. In Bulgarian it's much easier. I hope in Italian will sound also much easier. Intellicratic theory is some kind of upgrade of democracy. The main idea is that different people, different individuals should have different influence on the political process in terms of voting process. Because in all other fields of life, different people have different influence, have different speciality. When you have a toothache, God forbid, you don't go to the mechanic, you go to the doctor. So people are not the same. We have equal rights, but different obligations. And this we see in every aspect of life, except for the most important maybe aspect, which is the voting process, the democratic process in a democratic country. So I think that on the side of rights, we should all be equal. Of course, everybody should have the right to vote. But on the side of obligations, we cannot be equal. We are not the same. So the final weight of each vote should be different. Should be multiplied by a coefficient, which I call coefficient of influence. But the most important thing is that each individual should have the ability to influence his coefficient of influence by doing more for the society, by creating more, by helping others, by raising his or her personal level of knowledge and of expertise, should be able to influence this coefficient. And this way we can create additional motive for each person to develop him or herself and to give back to society much more. And maybe this way we'll be able to stop a process in the Western society, in the Western societies, which is very worrying to my opinion, which is called the triumph of mediocrity. The triumph of mediocrity is something that everybody feels more or less happening around him or her. But scientifically speaking, if we take the pyramid of Maslow, the pyramid of needs, and we have people that are leading the society, they by right of being elected, put themselves on the top of this pyramid. But very often they emerge from the more basic levels of this pyramid. So their natural urge is to lower this pyramid and to widen its basis. So this process of lowering the pyramid and widening its basis is what I call the triumph of mediocrity. So if this process, which is repeating itself, is not stopped and not reversed, then our Western civilization doesn't stand much chance of surviving, because there are other civilizations. There are at least two more civilizations on Earth which have their ideology, which don't have the constraints of the democracy. So they are developing, they are raising their influence in the world on the account of the Western civilization. And we as representatives of the Western civilization should think of ways to give ourselves chance of survival and chance of thriving. So I think that integrocracy is the ideology which may reverse this process of triumph of mediocrity. If we change the way that people, that according to their position in this pyramid, which I'm using only as an example. This is not the best possible model of society. There are others that have been created and that are being created. If we reverse this process, then this pyramid will get higher, and the influence of the people that are more self-conscious will be much more. And this will create a situation that new and revolutionary ideas will be created in a much faster rate, and this will give this edge to the Western civilization.
Right, so it's a way for everybody to benefit as much as they can.
That's the idea. It should be beneficial for each individual and for the society,
and for
as
society
a whole.
as well. Right, that is a very interesting way of looking at things. How do you combine everything that you do, your entrepreneurial endeavors, the different organizations that you manage? How does that fit in a day?
It's very simple. The answer is people. The answer is the right people that I work with. We are, I may call it a family. We are friends that are gathered together to reach common goals. And then when everybody, this is the ideal, this is not still the situation, but we are aiming towards this situation, when everybody knows his place in the system and knows what he or she is supposed to do, then it's much easier to accomplish more and to fit more in one day. Time is flexible, and the Americans have a very good saying, busy men get the job done.
Yeah, of course, team effort.
Yeah.
All right. You have a very wide vision on different foreign investments in Bulgaria because you've been in the sector for a long time. What would you say?
I'm ashamed to say how many years.
No, it's a secret.
Yeah.
We won't say. What would you say is Bulgaria's best feature? How much potential is there for further investments here in Bulgaria?
I think the main feature of Bulgaria is its balance. It's a very balanced place. We have 4 seasons here. We don't have extreme heat. We don't have extreme cold.
True.
We have very positive individuals, very good people, which are not extreme to any directions, except for Kiev. Maybe that there we see some extremes.
True.
And everything is balanced. The nature, the people that are here, the business atmosphere, if you wish. There are a lot of things to be done. There are a lot of businesses that are not introduced in Bulgaria yet. So there's a lot of space for innovation and for import and for export and for everything. This is in a way like the Wild West 100 years ago. So we are the Wild East. And at the same time there is the element of predictability. As member of NATO and member of the European Union, you know that here, for good and for bad, there won't be any extremes. So the only thing we have to do in Bulgaria is to improve the level of governance and the justice system, which are maybe the main obstacles to investment in Bulgaria. But all the other factors are present. And investors are coming to Bulgaria, and there is room for a lot more.
So, how did you get into the business sector? How did you decide that that's what you're going to do in your life as a profession?
I don't have any deep, profound answer or some kind of revelation about this. It happened by chance. I have studied cinema and television directing in Tel Aviv University, and I wanted to make movies. But when I finished my university, there was this crisis, one of the crises. This was in the middle of the 90s. So especially in Israel, there was no much work for cinema, for making cinema. And then there is this French director, Jean-Luc Godard, who said that if you cannot do cinema, don't. So I figured out I can live without making movies. And then there was the question, what can I do? And then there was a situation that I could take advantage of in terms of business, and an opportunity opened. And I pursued this opportunity, and that's how it happened. One business, then the other, then the third. That's how it was. Many businesses on the way have failed, but I think failure is something that you get more experience from than success. So I love my failures as much as my successes.
That's a very wise way to look at it, and basically that is the spirit of entrepreneurship. That failure is at the center of everything you do, and it makes you learn and progress.
Have you heard about William Hershey's, the Hershey's chocolates?
Yeah.
This was his 7th business.
Really?
6 businesses before that he bankrupted, and then the 7th one succeeded. So the main message is never to stop trying.
For sure, that's a much more common story than one would think. All right. And for the future entrepreneurs that are thinking about starting a business or that already have a business but have been struggling, because we all know what happened in the last year, what would you say are the best possibilities and the best attitude going forward?
First of all, Bulgaria is very good for starting a new business and for entrepreneurship as a whole, because mistakes are much cheaper here. Compared to Western Europe, to the United States and other places in the world, if you don't succeed, it's not such a big deal. And you can start over, you can start again. Regarding the current crisis, or any crisis for that matter, crisis is also an opportunity, because during crisis the slow or more conservative businesses are getting hardships, and they are freeing spaces in the business plane. So this is the opportunity to start. This is the rearrangement of businesses that usually happens during crisis. Some of the biggest businesses in the United States and in Europe have been started and have reached success during times of crisis. This is the real test what you are worth and what you can do. The world is changing. There are some people that are waiting after this crisis to go back to normality. There won't be such thing. There will be a new normality. The world is changing constantly. Much more than a year or 2 years ago, entrepreneurs should try to find the fields of investment, the fields of entrepreneurship, which are new and will be relevant for the near or the middle future. That's the most important thing. If somebody wants to wait for things to go back to the way they were, they should start looking for a spot in the line for jobless.
Yeah. All right, so the takeaway is fail, don't be afraid of failure, but just, progress, learn as much as you can and go forward.
Yes, and especially for foreign investors in Bulgaria, I would propose to them to take the specific mentality of Bulgarians into consideration, not to take them for granted, to learn, to think first of all how to give and then how to take. Because I have met a lot of investors that are coming here just to take. Bulgarians are stupid, Bulgarians are cheap labor, I'm going to do this, the things that I want, take advantage of them, take the money and run away. It doesn't work that way. This is the 100% recipe for failure. First of all, one should learn the mentality, sit with Bulgarian, drink some rakia, eat some
shopska salad.
Of course. Get to know them, get to know the mentality, the heart of the Bulgarians, and then turn this knowledge into huge business potential. That's it.
Thank you so much for agreeing to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. And we'll see you guys next time.